to the Five Stars Realty Podcast. My name is Stephanie, and today we have a very special guest. He doesn't just represent real transformation, not just success, but identity change. Sean Martin grew up in Bronx during one of the toughest eras, surrounded by drugs, crime, and survival. At 29, 2 years after a prison sentence became his turning point that forced him to confront who he is really today. And I have the pleasure of saying welcome to the Five Stars Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We've had a couple of maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes before this to have a conversation. But please tell our viewers your story, who you are.
Sure. So as Stephanie said, my name is Sean Martin. I'm just a guy who grew up in the Bronx, New York, product of a single mom who immigrated here from the Dominican Republic when she was 11 to flee persecution over there when the dictator was assassinated. So we found our way all the way to lovely Parkside projects in the Bronx right before the 1980s, 1990s crack epidemic. So grew up with a lot of challenges and chaos, but thankfully, more important than any of that, I grew up with love. And, my story is not unique. With the exception of I was able to make it out through a great work ethic that my mother instilled in me. She got up and went to work every day for the city of New York as a social worker, whereas I wouldn't say the majority, but a lot of people that grew up in that environment weren't necessarily striving for much. And I can't say that we were either. We were just surviving. But the one thing she taught me early on in life was that if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. And I learned later that that was actually a Henry Ford quote, and one of her bosses at her secretarial job had taught her that, and she passed that on to me. And I didn't really realize how impactful that would be in my life, but it really is about belief. And I always believed I was meant for more. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I had no great role models or examples in the hood growing up to tell me how to get there or showing me the blueprint. I had no father figure. But yet and still, I just showed up. I worked from the age of 12. Excuse me. Then I went on to work after school throughout high school. Then I went to college, first community college, Bronx Community College, where we were joking about having a little extra money at the end of the semester to spend on clothes, not books. And then we went to four-year college, which was basically, and then we went to four-year college, which was the result of the hard work I did in two-year college. So I was stacking little wins. They didn't seem like much at the time, but that consistency allowed me to get out of the hood. And basically, four-year college was the first time I left the Bronx. And I didn't know how impactful that would be. And it wasn't about the school. It wasn't about the education. It was about getting away from that environment. And I think so many of us are trapped in the environment, not only physically and geographically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And I got to get out for the first time and meet people from all over the country, all over the state, people that didn't look like me, think like me. And that was a real turning point for me. So fast forward a bit, I come home, I'm doing this job and that job in sales, which we know is one of the most valuable professions that anybody who's grinding can have, especially we talked off camera about having hunger.
Correct.
So I had plenty of hunger because I wanted more money to do more things and buy nicer clothes and have more experiences. But I didn't really have a plan. And at the age of 29, I found myself fighting a case, and I ended up in prison for a couple of years, a result of bad decisions and chasing that money that I wasn't getting from work. So I always worked, but I started to hustle on the side and take those lessons that I learned from the streets and apply them to my life to make the extras that work couldn't get me. And sure enough, I got my foot caught in the door and I ended up in jail for 2 years. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm sorry I'm kind of fast forwarding through this, but
it's a long story.
It's a long story I'm making really short. But that was the best thing that happened to me. And again, it's the belief. So early on, I was able to frame that experience, which most people would have allowed to bury them, as something positive. I said, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. I was lying my ass off, but when you lie, you start to believe it.
Correct.
And this was for good. So, I always joke that a successful entrepreneur starts off lying to themselves and then does the work to make it a reality. Because in the beginning, you got no proof. You've got no facts to back it up. You just got a belief inside of you, and you start to say things first to yourself, and then if you have the courage, to others, and then to the world. Like, I'm going to do this thing, right? And I started doing the thing. So, I met my now wife. We're going on 17 years together.
That's awesome.
That was a year before going in. I picked up Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins in that prison cell, which changed everything for me. It let me know I was telling myself a story, and therefore I could start telling myself a new story. And I started to just dive into who I was. All the distractions were gone. And we talked about this too off camera. It's like we don't really know who we are.
Correct.
We're an accumulation of information that was given to us by the people around us, by the environment. And jail was such a great learning experience for me. And I get goosebumps as I tell it, because it's a reminder that the world is full of distractions and it's full of stories. But it's not full of the ones that we choose to tell ourselves. It's the one that the world and others told to us. And unfortunately, coming from poverty and a poverty mindset, those stories are rarely ever good. So it was in prison that I found peace, of all places. I had no distractions, no bills to pay, no drugs, no alcohol, nobody telling me I couldn't do something. And it's in there that I started to believe in what I was capable of doing in the world, believe it or not.
So would you say your mindset or that thought that you had at first that drove you to that bad decision, right, financially, that mindset had to change, or how did it even change?
Well, it started with a story, right? Mm-hmm. We see it in the world today. People choose to blame the government.
Correct.
They choose to blame the president. They choose to blame the system. The truth of it is that is running on its own, and you have pretty much no power over it. I think we've seen in the last few years, and again, if you are somebody who believes in voting and the system, and that's great. Me personally, I don't think our vote means that much. And I think we're proving it now, because one side voted for one thing and they're getting something completely different. And that could be Senate of the other side. So this isn't about being a Republican or being a Democrat. This is about looking in the mirror and realizing that you and only you are the person that can change the outcome. So I always say, unless you're going to dedicate your life to changing the system, then stop bitching about it, because it's much easier to change yourself. And when we have the power to change ourselves and our mindset, everything else changes too. Not the realities, but how we perceive it. So I'm going back to the story. I'm facing 2 years in prison. Then I know I got to go to prison. This is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. You know why it was? Because I told myself it was going to be. And that's the same thing. I can tell myself that this president, this elected official is going to have more sway over my life. Or I can start to say, you know what? That has no power over me. I don't care who's president, who's the mayor, who's the governor. I'm going to go out there and do my thing. So that's where the mindset comes in. I'll leave you with a cheesy cliche. Perception is reality.
Yes, yes.
So one person can see one thing and see opportunity. Another person can see the same thing and see doom and gloom. And when you start to lean into the doom and gloom, you start to feel helpless. And guess what you get? A feeling of helplessness, and you don't produce.
Nobody believes as much as yourself in what you're going to do. So I always say action is what's going to drive you.
Right.
So when you had that action, behind cameras, we were talking about people just saying, I want to do stuff, or I want to change, or I want to achieve this. And we were saying action is the way to go. What would you say to those people?
I would say get off your ass and do the thing you're hesitating to do. I find myself guilty of it. One thing that separates me from a lot of these social media influencers or people that you see and you hold to a high standard is that I'm honest. Like, I'm painfully honest. I am trying to do things that scare the shit out of me. So to say that I don't kind of find myself going around trying to avoid it would be bullshit, because they're so scary that sometimes I don't know what to do. And that gives you an excuse to not start doing it. But I learned that it's better to start building the plane in the air. So imagine you're on a cliff, and you've got a hang glider, and you've got to tape something up or whatever to make sure you're flying smoothly.
You're killing me.
You fucking jump anyway and then figure it out. And
Correct.
That's what entrepreneurship is. That's what telling yourself, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to be successful. Guillermo telling himself at the age of 16, coming here, I'm going to achieve the American dream. That's what it's all about. It's about jumping and then figuring it out. You see, people want to figure it out. They have ideas. They have thoughts. They have things they want to do. But do they ever act on them? No. So we talked about knowledge is power, and knowledge is power. but it's worthless without action.
Correct. That's
So
what he
you are better off not having the knowledge and taking action, because the action puts you in positions where you have to solve problems.
Now that you say that, how many people do you know in business that are high CEOs that really don't have the knowledge but have the action and are just surrounded by people that have the knowledge?
The majority
that happens
of
all
them.
the time.
The
It happens
majority
all
of
the
them.
time.
I know people that are worth 9 figures that will tell you, and it's pretty obvious, they are not the smartest person at the table. There are accountants that are much smarter than them on paper, but their net worth is 100 times less because they're not willing to take the action to move the needle forward. So we talked about school and professors.
Yes.
Professors are extremely intelligent. You have people that teach entrepreneurship in colleges. What wins do you have to show me? What successful businesses? I'd rather go to the guy who has a hot dog stand because he's going to be able to get you off the ground quicker than the guy who's teaching you theory from a book. And that's all it boils down to. It's a who, not how. So as you get in business, do not try to figure out the how, because the how is literally staring up at the top of a mountain, scaring the shit out of you. What you're going to find is the who's a little higher up toward that goal, and they're going to get you to the next step, and so on and so forth. So you're better served becoming a leader of people than a learner of details. And those are the people that can lead the detail people. Mm-hmm. And listen, everybody plays their part. If there weren't detail people, you wouldn't be able to scale the mountain. But the leader is the one that convinces everybody to come up the mountain with them. So everybody plays a position. But for anybody looking to get started, take action and start to learn about leadership. Start to learn how to be a better leader, and then the rest will figure itself out.
Do you take that in every aspect of your life?
I do now. I was just having this conversation with somebody on the way here. We're doing an event that's coming up, and he's more excelled at certain areas of business than I am, and I'm more excelled at other areas of business or life than he is. And I lean on other people to fill in the gaps. I don't necessarily want to know all the details, but I need to trust my gut. So that's my forte, is like, all right, I know people. So I can smell bullshit a mile away. That's my superpower. And part of that comes from being from the hood and then going to prison and then also knowing billionaires. So that's my superpower. And I've learned to lean into that. So a lot of people want to do too much. They want to know all the details before they get started. Oh, I'm going to do my due diligence, right? So we're in real estate. All right? We're in a real estate podcast. It's centered around real estate. There are title.
Correct.
There are lenders. Mm-hmm. There are appraisers. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to do all of that? Like, you hire somebody to do what they're specialized at, and you do what you're specialized at.
Was that difficult for you to do at first, to give out power?
Absolutely, because people get caught up on the thing that makes them successful. So I was hungry, and I was a hustler. And I built my business around that mindset. So I'm a scrapper. I'm just going to keep going. I'm never going to quit. I'm going to figure it out. But then you put too much on your plate. Correct. You're trying to figure everything out. You're trying to be the accountant, the bookkeeper, the leader, the order fulfiller,
I think you're describing
salesperson.
Me. You're describing
trying to do it all. And that just leads to chaos.
Yes.
But a lot of that goes back to, we can get deep into the psychology of it, but, we don't have enough time. What got you there, you're always going to lean on it to keep getting you further.
Correct.
But the problem with that is you're going to cap yourself. You can only get but so far. So now when I step into rooms like Zenith Mastermind, I'm the brokest, dumbest guy there, I always joke. And I'm glad to not be either. But the point being is, when I sit across the table, I want to be intimidated by what the other person has accomplished and is striving to do. Not intimidated so I shrink and don't pursue my dreams, but I am inspired to think bigger. And people that want to figure out all the details, it's almost like a purposeful distraction to keep them where they are. They don't know they're doing it, but they're doing it nonetheless. So letting go and putting less on your plate of the things you're not good at is the secret to success.
Yeah, I agree. I had that conversation with Guillermo himself. He's like, we need to hire, he even says it, more people, either like Samantha or yourself, right? But all these people are going to be their own great self in that position, and then we oversee them, because the business gets overwhelming when you're dealing with everything. So for people out there that don't know what is the master mindset, that you were saying.
So a mastermind is essentially a phrase that was coined, I want to say it was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is. And the book is going on 100 years, I believe, old. So we're talking about Depression era America. And what this guy did was he went to all the masters of industry, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and whoever was the person of the day, and started to extract the information. So podcasts are a great example of you extracting information from me for your audience. So what Dale did was extract it from the tycoons of the day. And he started to see patterns. Okay, this is what makes this person successful. This is the mindset that makes this person successful or that person. The problem is, most people draw information from people that aren't successful. We're all guilty of asking our mom, our dad, our tia, our tío, our fucking
Abuela,
sobrino, hey, I got this business idea. What do you think I should do? Bro, you have no business asking that person because that person has no clue. And let's say your parents even, right? They did the best that they could. And this is going to get me some slack, but I don't care. All right? Your parents did the best they could with what they had. But you asking your parents how to parent your children, if you actually are intentional and take in all the information they never took in, would be foolish. Yes. Asking your parents how to do something in business if they never own the business is just plain stupid. But it's what we all do.
Yes.
So if you're stupid, I'm stupid. I'm not judging because we've all done it because those are the people around us. So what the mastermind allows for is people that aren't in your geographical circumference. So you guys are based in Connecticut.
Yes.
If you want to do a realtor or a real estate meetup, you're going to meet majority of people from Connecticut.
Correct.
That is a limited pool of people to extract from. Now, I'm not saying there's not value in it because there's a networking connection. But if you want to take your business to the top, you need to go travel to, let's say, a Vegas or another convention center where it's a national real estate conference where you know that these high-level speakers and guests are going to be there. Number one, they're filtered. So a mastermind filters people who are unwilling or unable to have the resources to get to the place because they had to buy a plane ticket. It had to be inconvenient. They had to believe in themselves enough to buy the ticket, book the hotel, and spend the hundreds or thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands, or in my case, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there. So that eliminates all the people that are pretty much where you are right now, which sounds fucked up, right? Because you're essentially telling yourself, I'm not there yet, which is an honest interpretation of your ability at the time. You've got to let go of your ego and say, okay, I only know what I know. But if I do that, I'm going to get to know things that I have no idea exist. And that is the truth.
We at the brokerage are going now in June over to San Diego. So we do conventions. We just came back one from Arizona. Yeah. So we do this realtor conventions. We take over like 10 to 20 agents of our own, and we pay everything.
The highest performing agents, correct? Because they show the most promise.
Correct.
But let's be honest, there's plenty of agents and there's plenty of employees in any company that they're just surviving and they're just getting by. But when you see cream rise to the top, you want to invest in them.
Yes.
Now the next step is for you to invest in yourself. And unfortunately, people will buy a nice bag, they will buy a nice vacation, they will buy a nice dinner. But if you ask them to cut a $500 or $1,000 ticket to go to a mastermind and hear a world-class speaker, they're going to be, I'm dealing with it now. We're going to host an event in New Jersey in a few weeks, and the tickets are $997, and we'll do 2 for 1. We'll sell them for $500. Again, I am the guy that doesn't bullshit. We are going to have the same people that believe in us and love our message. You're just trying to make money. Okay, bro, stay home. Yes. Sis, stay home.
Miss out on it.
Miss out on it. And that's just human nature. It's a reluctancy to spend money on themselves. They'll find every excuse not to, but they'll buy a purse. They'll buy a $3,000 handbag that costs the Italian designer $18 to make because it makes them feel like they're more important.
Correct.
But the most important thing you can do, the most value you can get is an investment in yourself, whether it be a gym membership, a book, a course, a coach, a mastermind. That's where you grow because those people have information you don't even have access to or know exists.
I agree. I have a question.
Sure.
So you talk about identity shifts. What does that actually mean?
So I'll give you a couple of examples for me personally. A couple of big shifts I've made in my life around identity. The most recent being I'm not a drinker.
Okay.
Right? We were at the Cuban spot yesterday, and at the end, they bring you the little shots. They brought my daughter and my son the little Shirley Temple shots with the cherry, and they bring the little, liqueur shots for us. My wife is pregnant, and I don't drink. So I said, thank you, but I'm going to do the Shirley Temple one with my daughter because we don't drink. That shift, okay, now mind you, I used to be a heavy drinker. I mean, I drank with the best of them. I was never a fall down drunk, or I was just a happy drunk. I was the entertainment. So the same energy you feel now, imagine that, but with alcohol, all right? It gets crazy. So my point is, for years, drinking was so normal. Growing up in a Latino household, that's what we do.
Yes.
And I mean, this ain't a Latino thing. This is a people thing.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you come from. Drinking is a pastime
Correct.
for a lot of cultures. And we love music, and we love dancing, and we love partying, and drinking makes that all the more better. So for years and years, I was a drinker. And it just came to a day when my wife, she goes, listen, babe, your breath smells like alcohol. And I had to just sit back, and I didn't argue with her. It was like 7:30 in the morning. Now, I don't drink in the morning. I never have, unless it was like that vacation once in the blue, right? But probably like 10 o'clock. Give me a mimosa or something. But the point being is, I couldn't hide anymore.
Okay.
The person I cared about the most told me that this is becoming a problem. And I knew it had been a problem because I had tried to kick a couple of times.
And it was difficult.
And I couldn't do it. It was difficult. I came to the realization one night that I was an alcoholic because after 4 or 5 days of not drinking, I started getting these butterflies and I couldn't sleep. And if anybody knows about withdrawal from alcohol, it's the one thing that can kill you. You can withdraw from heroin, and it's like you see all the movies where people are sweating, and 3 days later they're okay. And it looks like they're going to die, but they don't. Alcohol is the one thing that can kill you if you just quit cold turkey. So 4 days out, I can't sleep. I got up and took a shot of Tito's just to go back to sleep. And as I'm pouring that, I'm like, holy shit, bro. You're
There's
an
an issue.
alcoholic. No, there's not an issue. You're an alcoholic.
Yes.
And imagine the admittance and the pain that causes, right? So you can go deeper into the pain and deny it, or you can admit it. And that was probably a couple months before my wife made the comment to me. So at that point, the gig is up. I can't hide. I go into detox. I'll make the long story short. I get out, and I surround myself with sobriety programs. In person, I pay for virtual. I go to group. I do all the things. And I start to, within about 6 to 8 weeks, I start telling myself a tool. I'm not a drinker. So start saying you're not a drinker. Meanwhile, I'm still entertaining all these doctors, these lawyers for my business. And I got to go out and explain. And if anybody's been clean or sober or not chosen to drink in an environment like that, what do people do?
It's very difficult. They're going to peer pressure you.
They're going to make fun of you. What, you got religion? What are you in recovery?
Yes.
The biggest, there's no support.
No.
So I started adopting the phrase, I'm not a drinker. That's what an identity shift is, okay? Now, it's not easy. You can't just one day to the next say, well, I'm slim and I'm fit. And then the second thing is my physique. I now am in shape. I'm 47 years old, in better shape than I've ever been in my life because I decided that I'm going to be a fit middle-aged or going into middle-aged dad.
Yeah, you're still
Because
young.
I started late. I started having kids at 39 years old. And I just said, damn, I'm going to be 60 taking my daughter to college. So I better get in shape. And the alcohol actually was hurting that part of me. So these two things shifted dramatically. I'm not a drinker, and I'm a fit 40-something-year-old man. And what happens is people get caught up in the how, the details, right? So it's not the details, it's the identity. So one of the biggest things about Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or any of these programs is they teach you to get away from the identity, but they keep you in the identity. So all the reasons that you do the dysfunctional things you do are because, well, I'm an alcoholic, and that's why I act this way. And I'm an alcoholic, so I do this and I do that. But how the hell are you going to get away from being an alcoholic if the first thing you say in a sentence is, I'm an alcoholic, so that's why?
Correct.
So those two things were at odds for me. So instead, I started to say, I'm not a drinker. I'm a fit dad. And I started to practice the disciplines around those two things. So instead of trying to get fit and go to the gym 6 times a week, start to tell yourself, I'm going to drink a glass of water instead of soda or diet soda. I'm going to go for a walk after a meal instead of sitting down on my ass and doing nothing. So these are the little things that you can start to tell your mind and then back them up with little actions. See, people think they have to be grand actions. We see it every January 1st. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to join. I'm going to go 6 days a week. That is the hardest thing to do because you're going from 0 to 60 at a set of behaviors that you have no experience around. So instead, start to embrace little, minute changes and start to tell yourself the big thing. So don't think your actions are going to support that, right? Me not being a drinker was something I found about 8 weeks in. But it was me going to AA, me going to group, me going to this, me going to that session to actually get to the point where I felt enough confidence to say, I'm not a drinker. Now, I know that if I ever pick up a glass of alcohol, I'm in trouble again. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything bad about AA. It's a wonderful program. But for me, it doesn't work because I just identify as somebody who's not a drinker anymore.
Okay.
And the same thing around fitness. I'm just not somebody who's going to eat garbage all the time. Do I still like my cookies and my cakes and all that other stuff? Absolutely. Do we still have dessert? Absolutely. But not in the emotional, like kind of just way that I used to eat.
So it's
before.
action every day.
It's small, actionable steps backed up by a bigger story. Okay, so getting to the I'm not a drinker part does not happen overnight.
Correct.
Getting to the
It's
fit
work.
Body and the discipline it takes does not happen overnight. So you have to start rewarding yourself for little wins while telling yourself the big story. So every time you do that little thing, you celebrate it. And then it becomes who you are. And that's the way to change. So you talked about doing too much.
Correct.
I'm a leader. Start to tell yourself, sister, you're a leader. You're a leader of people. You got this amazing personality, and you're going to start leading people. You're going to start leading them to a better place. You're not going to have to learn their job because you're going to trust that they know their job.
Agreed.
And you're going to hold them accountable. But you're going to identify yourself as the leader of your team as opposed to just another person trying to do all the things. And that's why Guillermo is where he is, even though we've never met and we've had a great conversation.
Yes.
And shout out to you for extending your platform to me. I hope I'm offering some value to your audience. He identifies as the leader. And that's why he is where he is. Now, there's levels, and every leader needs, generals and captains and all that good
Agreed.
stuff. But it really is about starting to tell yourself the big story while you start to take the little actions that support the big story. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's the mistake most people make, and that's why they get discouraged. And the minute they get discouraged, guess what they do?
They give up.
Right back to who they identify as. And that's normal. It's a normal human behavior. Have you ever heard the thermostat example?
Yes.
Okay, so for the audience, just in case you haven't heard it, if this room was filled with 15 people and it was set at 68 degrees, it would go up to 72, 74 degrees almost immediately because all that body heat would raise the temperature in the room before it would kick in and start to lower itself back to 68. And we do the same thing in life. We make strides, we win, we lose the weight, we start to make more money only to come back down to who we believe ourselves to be. And identity shift is one of the most monumental things that you can realize to make lasting change in your life, as opposed to temporary change and wonder why you keep coming back to the place. And I say that with all compassion because I find myself doing the same thing at times because what I'm striving for is so far off that I find myself coming back. But I draw it like this, right? We fall back down, but we go a little higher every time. We go a little higher. And then you'll just find this momentum swing where you just shoot up tremendously. And expect that there'll be some downshifts there too. 100%. It's normal. There are high achievers that maybe they can avoid that. I've yet to meet them because, one area of your life may take off while another one suffers.
Correct.
So, again, give yourself grace and have the understanding that nothing worth having happens overnight. It will take time, consistency, discipline, and environmental shifts of people that will support you as opposed to the same old people you came up with. And that's another thing too.
So that's another thing because you need to surround yourself by people that are where you are or that are having that view, because you can't go up to your mom or grandma and say, I want to have this company, right, but they don't have that same view. They might tell you, no, that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, they're most likely going to tell you, be realistic.
Correct. Get a 9-to-5
have
job.
Have a plan B. get benefits. We see how that's treating people in the space right now with AI taking over and consolidation and all kinds of technological advancements. Your job is not secure.
Correct.
I love the real estate space because it's an independent contractor space where you keep what you kill. And I think it's one of the most valuable industries is sales and independent contracting because you are forced to get out there and kill and make money. You make your own opportunities. You seize the moment. You don't wait for it to come to you.
Agreed.
When someone can just clock in and out and collect a paycheck, it's inevitable that they would get used to the paycheck. How many of us were on hourly wages and we knew exactly what we were going to get paid that Friday?
Oh, 100%.
Because we could just add up the hours. All right, I traded this much of my time, my life, for this much per hour, and they paid me this much. So you're essentially trading your time for money. And that's why I love the real estate game. I love service-based businesses and business owners, because even if you aren't a business owner and you're a broker or you're an independent real estate agent, you can only do as well as you put the effort in.
Yes. Please say that to the cameras because that is true. I tell the agents all the time. It's something I have morning meetings about. I can give you the tools, but if you're not using anything I give you, there's no way I can actually give you money. I'm giving you the tools so you can succeed, but you need to pick up that phone. You need to make the calls. You need to follow up with your clients. Right. You need to be out there hustling. If you're not hustling, there's nothing I can do. You
got to be generating leads. And then I'm guessing you guys give a certain amount of leads to certain people. But those people got to be dialing. So back when I was in sales, and I don't think the percentage changed any for the better. It might have changed to make it even harder to close a sale because there's more products, more offerings, more technologies and support. It was 3 out of 100. So for every 100 people I would call, I would sell 3 people. The best salespeople might be 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 if you were a fucking spectacular salesperson, but I've yet to meet them either. It's just numbers. And the more effort you put in, the more you fill your pipeline, the more comes out the other end. And real estate is no different. You've got to actively be shopping deals, showing properties in order to fill the pipeline so that in 3 months or 4 months when it closes, there's money coming out of the other
I tell agents, it's fine that you have that client. First of all, startup agents, because more mature agents already know this. But when you're starting off, you have a client, you have a listing. Okay, but what's going on next? Just because you have this listing, you need to have a pipeline because it closes. Right. You want to have, when it closes, when I give you your commission, you want to have something else about to close next month. Right. If not, you're in trouble with your mortgage, with your payment, with your kids, anything in life. Right. So it's all work. And I love real estate. It really is a drive.
It's a metaphor for life.
Yes, but it has to be constant. I have an agent, top selling agent. He is on the phones from 6 in the morning until midday, and it's cold calling. But he has over 68 listings, and he has buyers for those listings. Right. So it's a work in process.
It's a constant grind, and you know what? He's still dialing.
Correct.
Like he is hungry. And it's crazy because somebody will close a deal and they'll just rest on their laurels. And that whole process, all right, I got this much money coming. And then like you said, when that's done, what else do you have?
Correct.
So it's an industry where you got to keep feeding the pipeline. If not, you're going to eventually starve. And I had a great guest on my own show yesterday. I mentioned him, and he has 40,000 agents nationwide. And I asked him, what was the thing that changed for you? And he goes, man, I had 3 listings. And I'm telling you, 1 hour they called, this one died. The next hour, this one died. And the next hour they called me and they said the deal's not going to happen for 3 different reasons. He said that changed everything. He was like, I told my wife, I'm going to work 12 hours a day. I'm sorry, for the next 30 days. And my goal is to sell 30 homes in 30 days.
Yes.
He went balls to the wall and just started showing 2, 3, 4 times a day if he had to. And what he ended up doing was selling 14 homes. He didn't hit the 30, but he hit 14. But the person that doesn't have that sense of urgency, they're going to sell 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, and just rest on their laurels. So if you want to take it to another level, you have to ask more of yourself than you ever have before. So you mentioned you don't want to be around people like you. Kudos to that. But you know who you want to be around? People that have what you want.
Correct.
So if you want to be walking around with this car, you want to make $500,000, 750, 300,000, whatever number your number is, it doesn't matter. That's relevant to the person, right? You need to surround yourself with people making that money so you can see what the blueprint is. And you know what most people don't realize? Successful people are more than happy to share what they know.
Oh, yes. They always want to talk about their success.
Only people that are broke and have a scarcity mindset want to hoard everything for themselves.
Agreed.
The agent who has nothing to offer, they're the ones you can't get any information from because they feel like if they're going to share it with you, they're going to lose something.
Yes.
We have family members like
Yes.
that. We have friends like that. Those are people you just have to love from a distance. I don't know if you're a football fan. In college football, they got the Heisman Trophy,
Yes.
and he's got the ball, right? And he's protecting the ball, and he's got the stiff arm. That's the Heisman Trophy.
Correct.
Those are the people in your life where you came from. You need to give them the stiff arm. This is your dream. This is the stiff arm. I love you, but I'm going to love you from this distance because you are not good for me, and you're not going to take the little bit I have. Start to share your knowledge because even if you're at this level and you want to get to this level, there's somebody at this level. And I don't want to get too much into religion or faith, but if you start to give without the thought of getting in return, the universe, God, Mother Earth, whatever you choose to believe in, the vibrational frequencies of nature, it will start to reward you.
Agreed.
And when you start to hoard and act from a scarcity mindset, it'll reward you, but in the reverse. It'll just keep you there. And listen, I battle this all the time. There's people that I want to help dearly, both personally, professionally, familially, and I realize they're just not ready. So what happens when you start to pour into people that are holding on to their scarcity mindset is they start to take your energy from you.
Yes.
And you have to be brave enough to say that I love you, but I'm going to love you from over here because you are not good for me. And you have to have the courage to let go and just put one foot in front of the other and keep showing up and understand that you're not being selfish. They're the ones being selfish.
Yes.
And you'll still love them, but know that they're not healthy for you.
I really, yes, I love that. That comes.
Sounds
that
like it's
hits
hitting
me.
home for you.
Yeah, that's hitting home.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing to do
Things
is
I've
let
done,
go of the
yes.
people you love.
Correct.
I got stuck for years. Once I started to find like real financial success, I got stuck for years. You came to my house, we were drinking Johnny Blue, we were in the pool, we were ordering the food, you don't need to chip in. I got everything. I wanted to share what I had. But all that does is attract takers.
Yes.
So it took me a long time to realize that I was being generous because that's who I am, but they were being takers because that's who they are. So I held on to a lot of people a lot longer than I had to.
Yeah.
And the quicker that you can let go and understand that it does not make you a bad person, that you are not responsible to support other adults.
Correct.
And that's the thing that Latinos, let's be honest,
Let me take a deep breath.
that's it's a uniquely cultural thing
Yes.
because we're such a family dynamic that we want to lift our people up. We want to share what we have, but you know what? Not everybody's meant to share on this plate of food that I cooked for me and the closest. So I always say, I just had a post the other day that did very well. It was like, listen, family, and this isn't Latinos. This is just a poverty mindset that you're doing good, so you're supposed to help.
No.
It's like, no, you're not supposed to do anything. You're not entitled to my success. I'm successful because I put in the work.
Yes.
And if you help me along the way, then great. I mean, I guess that we're going to share something. But if you're just like my bro, my sis, my uncle, my aunt, my cousin, and I'm doing well, so I'm supposed to pick up the tab when we go to dinner.
And worse, if you haven't heard from them for a year.
Yeah,
Suddenly I'm here. Hey.
I have friends. We used to go out the bar. We go meet for lunch. It's like, yo, the check would come and alligator arms.
Yes,
And
everybody
it's
goes to the
but
bathroom.
y'all doing good. Like, motherfucker, you sitting right here eating
Correct.
and drinking with us. Pick up the tab. Be a man. And I'm not saying it's unique to men, but that's almost like an embarrassing. Like, how could you, as a grown up, expect other people to take care of you unless there's a ring on your finger or they're your children?
Yes.
But there's an entitlement, and it goes beyond family. I mean, it goes to society today where people feel entitled.
Yes.
And we see it in New York and we see it in the Northeast where people are just like, well, tax everybody that's doing well.
Yes.
You know what they're doing? They're moving.
Yes.
Just because I did well doesn't mean I should give you more. Now, we could get into the whole political discussion around that, and we're not, because there's good parts of everything
Yes.
and there's bad parts of everything.
I agree.
But the theory that you're just going to take from the people that have is backfiring quickly.
Agreed.
We're literally losing the financial market in New York
Yes.
because they want to tax millionaires and billionaires to a point where, again, I'm not saying there's not unfairness around the subject. I'm not ignorant. I come from poverty. But all you've done is empower them to leave.
Yes, move out.
So Wall Street is now going to Dallas. Wall Street is now going to Florida. Wall Street is now acting virtually. They do not need the geographical location of New York City, and it is costing the city
Agreed.
a ton of people. It is costing the city a ton of money and a ton of talent because they've taken the socialist approach of, well, you're doing well, we need more from you. And again, in theory, that sounds good.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not good. And, you know, as Latinos, I always say, as an immigrant culture, we have the wherewithal to see the American dream for what it is because you usually come from a place that's not doing as well. But you go a generation or two down the line. So for myself, my mother was born in DR. They came here to do better. And then once I grew up in the hood, I saw a lot of negativity around the American capitalist system because these people, whether African-American or Puerto Rican, they've suffered generationally at the hands of capitalism. So they start to take the, well, F you approach. I need some of that success and I can't see it for myself. But if we tax you, that'll be a solution. And again, I guess I went a little deeper, but the reality is coming full circle, right? The only person who's gonna do it for you is you.
Nobody else.
Because if you gave somebody something that they didn't earn, are they really gonna value that?
No.
They're not. They're going to piss it away.
Yes.
And listen, guilty. I'm not judging anybody. And I see the response. You know what I'm talking about because you're experiencing this in your own life.
Yes.
But we need people that challenge us to be like, you know what? We can do better. We can be better. Now let's do the things that are going to get us to the promised land together as opposed to people that are going to take.
Yeah. I always say your children should do better than you.
Oh, yeah.
But you left them at a spot that they are able to do better than you.
I think, I was telling you, all right, I was at this mastermind and I'm speaking to a young gentleman, he's in his early 20s, and he's looking to get a company valuated at $2 billion within the next 6 months.
True.
And I'm sitting there like, damn. Sometimes I challenge myself, again, just from a perspective of being real. I've done so well, and the proudest thing that I've ever accomplished is my family. Being married, being together for 12 years, being together for 17, married for 12, having 2 beautiful kids, 1 on the way. Is it hard? Absolutely. It's the hardest thing I've ever done because I always want more, right? But the reason I take pride in that and I struggle is like, damn, well, is my life supposed to be dedicated to making their lives better? Or am I supposed to chase this dream down that God planted in my gut? And it's both. You can do both.
Yes. I was just going to say.
You can chase your dreams and still be a great dad and a great husband.
Yeah,
and it was only when I got around people that were doing it at the highest levels that I started to learn that it wasn't that you had to sacrifice one for the other. And we've been brought up to believe that money is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. We've been brought up to believe that people that are rich, they're scumbags, or they stepped on somebody, or they had chillas, or they did their thing
on the side.
I know plenty of good men that are faithful, love their wives, have private jets, have 8 and 9 figure net worths, give, impact, and do all the things. Now, are they rare? Absolutely. But it's possible. And it's possible for every single person. But you've got to believe it, and you've got to get around the people doing it.
I love what you just said. Completely real, 100%. We are wrapping up, and I just want the last thing to be said is that you have a book out.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, please.
I forgot about that. I'm a terrible self-promoter.
Please tell our viewers that you just had a book out.
So I just, after a long time of not sharing my story because I thought it would bring shame and embarrassment to my wife and my family, I decided to start telling my story, which actually resonates the most with people.
Yes.
Because I fell completely on my face at the age of 29. I did a 2-year prison sentence. And it was in that prison cell that I picked up Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within and actually manifested in my life that I was going to do all these amazing things I've been blessed to have achieved. And the book is called Beyond the Bronx, From Prison to Purpose. You can find it on Amazon, softcover, hardcover, Kindle, and Barnes & Nobles as well. We've got the audio book coming out in the next few months, and we're going to re-release the book and make a big splash as well. So if you want to pick that up, it's basically a short autobiography about my life, how we got to that place, but more importantly, the life lessons I learned after doing that prison stint, because those were the things that actually allowed me to find success.
I love this podcast. We both had to drive to get here,
Yeah,
so
a significant amount.
I really appreciate.
Totally worth it. Thank you.
I really appreciate you. Appreciate your time. I know that you're a busy man. Sean is not only this motivational speaker, but he has multiple businesses. He's gained over 156,000 followers in all his social media. So this is person to follow. Knowledge, worth, mindset. So I want to thank you for being here today, taking this small time and having this conversation. It really was great.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, if you want to talk, tell our viewers where
Sure.
they can reach you. It's going to be in the bottom once we edit this and everything, but please let them know where
Sure.
they can find you.
If you want to meet me on social, our biggest platform is Instagram. You'll actually be engaging with me most of the time. It is me that answers. I do take the time. I love having those conversations and pouring into people. Our Instagram handle is THE Sean, SEAN, not the other spelling, Martin. So the Sean Martin across all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. And we've got our own Real Mentors podcast as well, where we tell stories of hope and share entrepreneurial wins with our audience. So you can find me online. I'm not hard to find. I'm not hard to miss. And thank you again.
No,
for
thank
having
you.
me on your
Of course,
platform.
it really was an honor. Motivational, even to me, while I was hearing you talk. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching this podcast. You can hit like, subscribe, and follow along. Even Sean's. Thank you.